Welcome, everyone. My name is Wally Hauck, Senior Vice President for Communico. Welcome to our Leadership Series interviews. And I'm delighted to welcome today. I was going to say she's a good friend. She's really a better friend to my sister. But she's also a friend to me, Billie Tucker. And I'd like to just take a moment to introduce Billie because I'm very excited. In fact, I can feel like my voice is shaking because I can't wait to hear what she has to say. I assume you will feel that same way when I do this introduction, which is so perfect for this leadership series. Billie Tucker is known as a fractional COO. She's worked with CEOs to implement visions and ideas for 30 years. And she was chief operating officer for Vistage, Florida, which is a think tank for CEOs. And she started her own consulting practice, the CEO Service Bureau, in 2001, and earned a reputation for keen understanding and motivations and challenges and goals of people and of CEOs and COOs. I'm going to those. She's a lifelong student and teacher of leadership principles. How perfect is that for this little interview? And she's also a political networker, a writer, a founder of CEO Speakers Bureau, Leaderboard Roundtable, Eye on My City. And she is a wife, mom, and I love this. She's a Mimi, which I about what I knew that was right away. My wife is a Nani. You're a Mimi. She's a Nani. Importantly, she loves Jesus, as do I. Billie, welcome. Thank you so much for being here to help us gain insights. And again, I'm really excited. I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but I am excited about what you have to say.
Oh, thanks, Wally. Thank you for having me. It was an honor, actually. I was like, what? You want me to talk about what? But, it's my favorite subject. So there you go.
It's one of your favorite subjects for sure. So let me start with thinking the context might be knowing that your background is working so closely, intimately, I might say, with CEOs who have such a high level of responsibility and need to be leaders, are on the spot all the time. So you see the patterns of their issues. You see the patterns of the behaviors that work, that make them successful. You see the patterns of things that may not make them successful. So in that context, help us with some of the key characteristics, behaviors, key insights, qualities that we CEOs need to have, please.
Well, they have to be driven. First of all, they have to have a passion. And I work with CEOs that are entrepreneurs, Wally. So I don't work with hired guns that, just come right out of college and run a company. I work with CEOs that have started their company from scratch and, mortgage their house and use their credit cards to get their business going. So it takes a lot of risk taking. People that are risk takers are the ones that are going to really change the world. People that are not risk takers, they might help, but they're not going to be out front. So all CEOs must be out front, risk-taking kind of people, persevere over, climb those mountains. We've seen all the motivational, quotes, and there's so many of them out there. I could list them all, but the reality is that leaders must keep going, and they have to be driven by a passion to do that. So whatever their passion is, it can be anything. I mean, they might be a musician that wants a music store, or they might be I have a client that's a toy maker, and it's fun. He invented pound puppies, and he's still inventing toys today. And it just, every time I talk to him, he's so excited about his passion of toys. He loves it. So that's what's kept him going. And he said, I'm having more fun than I did when I started. And he's 71 years old. So I really think passion for what you do is important. You have to be driven. You have to be able to persevere under all odds. And, you just got to have a belief in yourself too. You have to believe in yourself that you can do this. And of course, another belief, and that is in a higher power that keeps you going, because passion comes from a higher power.
Okay. All right. So I hear that, and so it's mainly entrepreneurs, which is really interesting. And so help me with this. How do they? What do you? What advice do you give them to translate that passion to the staff, to the people that have to work with them? Tell us more about that.
That's the toughest part. It really is. Most of them are so passionate about what they do. They think everybody that's, working for them has that same passion. And that's really part of what I do in my coaching with them is no, they don't. Some of them they're just there for a job. And some of them just, don't get it. Actually, they think, oh, he's so weird. Here comes another idea. And, the thing about CEOs, especially entrepreneurs, they always have another idea.
Yeah.
So before they finish with one idea that he or she has brought to the team, they're off on another idea. And they're like, oh my gosh, here we go again. But they can't help it. That's who they are. They literally cannot help being that way. So I part of my coaching with them is you've got to communicate. You've got to also find people that catch on to your passion. The people that are around you need to be a part of the passion. And we've seen it. There's many organizations that, that have been written textbooks about that. I mean, Chick-fil-A was that kind of a company, everybody was passionate about the mission. So you really, if there are people there and they're not passionate about the mission, I tell them too, because I work with a lot of the executive teams and I tell them, look, if this isn't what you are passionate about, don't stay here. Go on, move on, find something you are, because we only live one life, Wally, and we live it mostly in our job. And so we need to do something that we love. So CEOs and the executive team and all the staff need to be on the same mission together. And if they're not, people just need to exit off because he's not going to change his mission or her mission for you.
That's such a huge challenge. Let me ask you, I saw I have a million questions and we're not going to be able to get to all of them, but the one that pops in that's most important is, is it that you want to try to get the CEO to change, or are you trying to get the staff to accept the CEO the way he or her is? Because you don't want to stop those ideas from coming, right? Mm-hmm. I can see how it could upset oh my God, another idea. We haven't even finished doing this. And the CEO has to hire implementers who have a different style, right? So there's a conflict there. So
there is a conflict. And, the answer to that is yes and yes. Yes, the CEO needs to change because sometimes he needs or she needs to sit down and evaluate, okay, is this really something I need to be doing? And they have to, and that's what I do as a coach with them. Like I sit there, I'm like, is this something you should be doing right now? I know you want to do it, but is it something you should be doing right now? Do you have the bandwidth? Does your staff have the bandwidth? And so trying to get CEOs to stop and step back a little bit, like I said, I work with a lot of CEOs and they all have that same problem. So getting them to address the problem and saying, yes, I mean, it's inherent in CEOs. I'm sorry, it is.
Especially entrepreneurs. Yes.
Exactly. Because they see something else and that, they're visionaries.
Yeah.
But, getting them to become mature about their vision is the important part. And they learn that along the way, because a lot of times I'll say, oh gosh, why didn't somebody tell me not to do that? I'm like, well, people tried to tell you, especially your staff, was they're going, oh, that is not going to work. So we have to, we all have to be, I think the most important thing, Wally, is that we have to learn human behavior in the workforce, and not be mad at them because they're different. What we have to do, and part of what I do with my clients is I work with them and do, personality profiles. A lot of companies use those and all that. And, they're just one tool. But they're a great tool because it gives insight into the people that are working for you. And it also, what I do, and a lot of companies don't, they're like, what? I share the CEO's profile with the staff and say,
gosh,
I did. I share with them because you need to understand inherently, this is who this person is.
Yes.
And here's how you communicate with them. So we give them tips on how to communicate. So I think the most important thing is in a CEO and their staff is they have to learn each other's communication styles. There's so much science and data out there about the fact that, let's say for anybody that might listen to this, maybe they've heard of the 5 love languages, and that's in personal relationships. But it's true. If you have somebody that loves to get pats on the back, and you don't care about that, you care about hearing words of affirmation, we're not speaking the same language, right? So if I know that Wally needs pats on the back and I have that cheat sheet telling me that, then I can go into Wally and give him a pat on the back about something, and you'll do whatever I need you to do because I've just given you what you need. So I think what we have to do is stop in the workforce and, first of all, take our eyes off of computers and off of our phones and look each other in the eyes, start having communications with each other again, learning what makes us tick and what ticks us off, because usually it's the same thing when it's overused, right? So it's really all about really taking the time to learn other people instead of just focusing on what I need. I need this, I need that, and that's great. And that sounds wonderful. And there's been a whole generation of, what about my needs kind of thing. I think moving forward, I think we're seeing that it hasn't worked. We have got to work together to find out what makes Wally, what makes him so good a Wally, that he will work with me and we will work on this mission together. And it's not, some people say, well, that sounds like you're manipulating. I'm not. I'm learning you love, Wally, and you'll learn what I love and how I need to be respected. So it's really a matter of bringing respect, communication, learning about each other's behaviors. I mean, it sounds like a lot of work, but it's really not if we all just step back, take a look at people, and try to understand them better. That's really what it is.
Make the effort and appreciate who they are instead of trying to. In fact, I'm realizing I appreciate the insight here, because I realized the question that I asked was really not the right question with the right language. I said changing people. No. It's about appreciating them is what you're saying, and then communicating better with them, which we can all do.
Right. And if you like that kind of a person's behavior, again, like I said, we all know if I can't change myself, it's hard enough to change me. Changing somebody else is even more difficult. Then either move on or learn to just accept who they are.
Accept who they are and then communicate differently. Mm-hmm. Billie, speaking about communicating differently, thank you so much for this series of insights that you've given, which are I sort of going to be so valuable, especially for high potential leaders to think about it this way. And so I want to thank you so much for spending the time with us today, and best of luck with your leadership board and all of your CEOs that you deal with. So God bless, and thank you again.
Thank you, Wally. It's fun. Thank you so much. And God bless you and what you're doing.
Thank you.